ये क्या फेसबुक में भी जा रहा है ना? नहीं, ऐसे कुछ
नहीं नहीं सर, अपने यूट्यूब चैनल पे डालेंगे इसको हम, जो डिपार्टमेंट का है उस पे। So sir,
ओके
I'll start now. Fine. I'll give me 5 minutes.
ओके।
A very good afternoon to. I welcome you all on the day three of lecture series on contemporary debates in politics, organized by the Department of Political Science, Vasanta College for Women, Rajghat, Varanasi. I'm very happy and I'm feeling very privileged that today we have with us Professor Manoj Mishra sir, who is the coordinator of Malviya Center for Peace Research, Banaras Hindu University. And today he'll be speaking on political violence, a theoretical perspective. Before inviting sir for his lecture, I'd like to give a brief introduction about sir for the participants. So sir has completed his master's, MPhil and PhD from JNU. He has done MA in Environmental Security and Peace from University of Peace, Costa Rica. He has done Advanced International Diploma in Peace Research from University of Oslo, Norway. His area of specialization includes peace and conflict studies, environmental security and peace, ethnic minorities studies, human security concerns. Sir has contributed immensely in through his writing. He has contributed many papers in the international and national journals, and he has been a recipient of some very important fellowships. To name a few, he has availed an International Fellowship of Peace Research Institute, Oslo, Norway. He is also a recipient of UPSAM Fellowship from University for Peace, Costa Rica. And one more thing which I'd like to add, that he is a member of extended Vasanta family because he started his academic career from the Department of Political Science, Vasanta College for Women. So he's a member of Vasanta family. I welcome you, sir, in this lecture series. And I feel really very privileged that you gave your consent to deliver a lecture on this topic. So we'll have the lecture and after that we'll have an interactive session. So once again, I welcome you, sir, and now I'll request you to kindly start your lecture.
Thank you, Preeti. I feel
Over
so
to you, sir.
nostalgic to give a lecture because I started my career in 1999. I straight came from JNU and I started my career over there. And then I came to BHU in 2006, and since then I have been here. So today I have been given this opportunity to political violence. And today I will be concentrating on some theoretical aspects of political violence. And then on Saturday, I will be talking about political violence in India. So, as such, the political violence is a topic which is as old as Aristotle itself. You see, when I give my lecture, I will be referring to Aristotle initially because Aristotle actually talked about revolution, that why revolution takes place. So, and also not only and revolution and political violence, because the word political violence is something modern. But the concept, the idea of political violence is there since ancient times, and the modern version is slightly more different than what it meant in ancient times. So let's find out. Give them. I will start with an intro. I have divided my lecture into 4 5 parts. So first, I will give you an introduction of political violence. Then I will talk about meaning of political violence and the difference between violence and the state. So does the state the most organized form of institution, does it perpetuate political violence, or it is the violence which comes from the people? So I will talk about that a bit. Then I will talk about the causes of political violence, and then I will talk about the forms of political violence. And then I will talk about revolution, because revolution is one of the it has happened in France, and it has happened in Italy, it has happened in Russia. And the concept of political violence and revolution are intermediaries. And then I will finish my lecture today on the methods of overcoming political violence. So let me start with the meaning of the word political violence, introduced to the concept of political violence. So political violence, which is perpetuated by both by the people and the government in order to achieve political goals. You see, political goals can be achieved through violence. So the people have a political goal, the government also has a political goal. So the point is, how does the government achieve this political goal and how do people achieve the political goals? It is one of the methods of it is political violence. So it includes that used by the state against the state, that is war. There can be political violence when one state attacks another state. That is a general form of war, which we talk about. But we are not going to discuss about that. There are also some non-state actors, most notably like NGOs, like police, and like all these kind of stuff, which are basically the part of the political violence. It can also be described as a political motivated violence, which is used by non-state actors against the state, rebellion, rioting, treason, coup. It can be described as political violence other than the state. So normally political violence is directed against the state. What do you mean by this? So can the state itself have political violence? We can talk about it later. So now let's come to that, because the state is considered to be the chief source of injustice and repression. So sometimes we state that the state is supposed to do welfare activities, state should promote, the state should do governance. The most important aspect of state is governance. But at times the state also perpetuates political violence. स्टेट जो है, राज्य जो है, वो कभी कभी हिंसा भी करता है और कभी कभी डायरेक्ट हिंसा होता है, कभी कभी इनडायरेक्ट हिंसा होता है. सो इन डायरेक्ट वायलेंस it is basically police atrocities, firing, lathi charge. But in indirect violence, there are two kinds of indirect violence. I would take the name of the father of peace research, Johan Galtung, that he talks about two kinds of indirect violence that the state can also perpetuate. One is called the structural violence, Sangharnatmak Hinsa, and one is called the cultural violence, Sanskritik Hinsa. So these are all indirect aspects of violence. I will just clarify it on both the issues. That structural violence is that some of the structures of the state, some of the institutions of the state, they can perpetuate violence. So that is the government has a lot of mechanisms, a lot of programs to eradicate poverty, midday meal scheme. There are amount being deposited these days to bank accounts so that you can have some kind of financial support. You can also have infrastructure being developed. But the point is that sometimes these are not achieved, these are not fulfilled. So then there is some kind of structural violence which the state itself perpetuates. And cultural violence is when the cultures of different cultures, they are of the opinion, or they are indirectly or unknowingly perpetuating some kind of violence. Suppose let's see that these days it has become different, but earlier, some 20 years back, that the girl child should not go to school. Culturally, it is accepted that the girl child should stay at home and do the household chores की वो kitchen में रहेगा और कुछ school नहीं जाएंगे. इस प्रकार के जो कल्चरली और जो सांस्कृतिक हिंसा जो है अभी थोड़ा बदल रहा है, लेकिन ये है, अभी भी है. So we are talking about the state. Violence is a purposeful political action to register protest of certain sections of the society against wrong policies of the government. Purposeful political action. जानबूझ के violence कभी-कभी लोग या organized people करते हैं to register a protest. Protest का दर्ज करना है. Protest यानी आप किसी को विद्रोह कर रहे हैं, स्टेट का पॉलिसी को विद्रोह करने के लिए, that certain sections of the society against the wrong policies of the government. In modern times, revolution as a form of political violence is carried out to bring change in the form of government and to transform social structure. Revolution भी होता है. अभी आप देखेंगे there was a Jasmine revolution which took place in the Middle East. आपका ट्यूनीशिया से लेके पूरा Middle East, Libya, Egypt, पूरा entire North Africa and Middle East में Jasmine revolution was there in the year 2011-12. उसी समय आप देखेंगे अन्ना हजारे ने भी एक प्रकार का protest किया, but that was non-violent in nature. It was not violent. So there is a difference between non-violent protest and violent protest. Here we are talking about political violence. So this is what it is all about. So political violence is a deliberate political activity which has enormous ethical implications. होना चाहिए या नहीं होना चाहिए violence? Because when we talk about non-violence protest or non-violence social change, non-violence से भी बदलाव आ सकता है. So then there is an ethical, एक ethics आ जाता है, नैतिकता आ जाता है कि ये political violence जो है ये हिंसा होगा या नहीं होगा. So then Aristotle was the first person who talked about it, and so also our great Kautilya, Chanakya, he also talked about it. Aristotle said that men do not revolt because they have caught cold. सर्दी हुआ इसलिए लोग रिवोल्ट करते हैं या प्रोटेस्ट करते हैं, वैसे नहीं. रिवोल्यूशन और प्रोटेस्ट वैसे नहीं होता है. So there are serious moral issues involved. Therefore, it is said that the honor enjoyed by political assassins cannot be compared with an ordinary murder. तो जब आप राजनीतिक हिंसा करते हैं, किसी को मार जाते हैं, बड़े लीडर को मारा जाता है, तो वो भी एक अलग प्रकार का उसका दृष्टिकोण हो जाता है. So the supposers of political violence justify it on moral grounds. ये भी एक हो सकता है. But we are not justifying it on at this platform. But ऐसे होता है because the whole idea is that जिसको आप फ्रीडम फाइटर कहते हैं वो आप टेररिस्ट हो जाता है, जिसको आप टेररिस्ट कहते हैं वो अलग लोगों के फ्रीडम फाइटर होता है. So then the whole idea of this political violence comes up. So now let's come to the meaning of political violence. So political violence is a collective actions of group of people against the government to highlight its discontent. So it is a group of people who are organized or maybe disorganized. आजकल सोशल मीडिया के दृष्टिकोण से आप देखेंगे कि पॉलिटिकल वायलेंस लोग इकट्ठा करना, मोबिलाइज करना, लोगों को इकट्ठा करना इन द स्ट्रीट्स. जैसे अभी ये फार्मर्स का प्रोटेस्ट हो रहा है, बट टिल नाउ इट इज अ नॉन वायलेंट प्रोटेस्ट, कोई इसमें वायलेंस नहीं. सो इट इज अगेंस्ट द गवर्नमेंट, मोस्टली इट इज अगेंस्ट द गवर्नमेंट टू हाईलाइट इट्स डिस्कंटेंट. डिस्कंटेंट नाराजगी है और इसीलिए वो लोग प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं. कभी कभी ये प्रोटेस्ट जो है ये वायलेंट हो जाता है. So normally political violence is directed against the state, its property and men who manage its institutions. Political violence may begin with the rioting or mass demonstration. कभी-कभी लोग इकट्ठा होकर प्रोटेस्ट करते हैं. That is the start of political. So Indian political thinker Chanakya is of the opinion that change in attitude of one's own people to revolt. तो रिवोल्ट करने का लोगों का एक एटीट्यूड होता है कि क्यों आप विद्रोह करेंगे, रिवोल्ट करेंगे. It results from the wrong policies of the government and immodest behavior of the king. कौटिल्य जब अपने अर्थशास्त्र में लिखते हैं कि राजा का जो इमोरल बिहेवियर यानी जो बर्ताव है राजा का, अगर वो ज्यादा निरंकुश हो जाते हैं तो इट द पीपल हैव द राइट, लोगों का ये राइट बन जाता है कि वो प्रोटेस्ट करें. So since ancient times political violence has caused disorder in the state, and in modern times political violence has become marked and it's a complex phenomenon. हम आपको टाइप्स ऑफ वायलेंस जब बताएंगे उसमें आपको बताएंगे कि मॉडर्न टाइम्स में पॉलिटिकल वायलेंस का कैसे अलग अलग का प्रकार है. सो नाउ लेट्स कम टू अनदर एस्पेक्ट, वायलेंस एंड द स्टेट. सो यूजुअली पॉलिटिकल वायलेंस इज बिल्ट अप अगेंस्ट द इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ द स्टेट. देखिए कभी कभी स्टेट अपने आप भी वायलेंस कराता है, बट वी विल ऑल्सो टॉक अबाउट इट इन अ मोर डिफरेंट वे. सो the state has the monopoly of corrosive power in its hand. State के पास जो व्यवस्था जो है, पुलिस, आर्मी, लॉज, नियम कानून भी हो सकता है, पुलिस है, paramilitary forces है. So state exercises this power to help to repress agencies such as the army, the police, the jails and the courts and everything. It can punish people who do not obey the orders and to disturb the law and order. ये भी एक पॉलिटिकल वायलेंस आप कह सकते हैं कि स्टेट का जो अत्याचार कभी कभी होता है, तो बहुत सारे जगह पे हम देखेंगे होता है. लेकिन चाइना एक देश है जहाँ पे डेमोक्रेसी नहीं है, तो वहां पे आप तो कह सकते हैं कि द स्टेट रिप्रेसिव पावर, इट इज कॉल्ड द, एक स्टेट का दो प्रकार का पावर होता है. एक आइडियोलॉजिकल स्टेट पावर, कि किस प्रकार का आइडियोलॉजी में स्टेट के पास है. जैसे चाइना इज ए आइडियोलॉजी, इज एक चिंताधारा है, वहां पे डेमोक्रेसी नहीं. भारत में डेमोक्रेसी है और एक स्टेट का जो रिप्रेसिव पावर होता है। रिप्रेसिव यानी पुलिस और जो व्यवस्था जो होता है, जो तंत्र होता है, वो भी एक प्रकार का पावर है। कोर्ट्स है, जेल है, आर्मी है, law and order. That is the repressive power of the state. So now we are looking at that modern states are increasingly using violent methods because they want to bring about political integration with the country and hasten the process of economic. देखिए जबरदस्ती करके इंटीग्रेशन लाते हैं कुछ कुछ जगह में जहाँ पे विद्रोह होता है. So the state can use also its agencies and its brutal force to have some kind of political power. So now let's come to causes of political power. I have now introduced you what is the meaning of political power, definition, meaning, and an introduction diye hai state and political power. So now let's come to the meaning or the causes of political power. So there can be many causes for the birth of political violence. Men take recourse to violence as a last resort. ऐसा नहीं है कि violence तुरंत शुरू हो गया. It is the last resort. कि बहुत सारे प्रकार के लोग प्रयास किए, they could not bring about change, they could not convince the government, then only they go for political violence as the last resort. People decide to use violent method when they think that the survival of the community is at stake and unless they fight it against it. आपका जो पर्सनल सर्वाइवल विल एट स्टेक हो जाता है कि आपका जीवन यापन आप नहीं कर सकते हैं ordinary life में, then only people think about that we can have protest and political violence. So now let's come to the general cause of political violence. What is the general cause of political violence? So the first cause of political violence is bad governance. ये कौटिल्य क्या कहना है और अरिस्टोटल का कहना. When there is bad governance, that is one of the first causes of political violence. Kautilya in Arthashastra says wrong policies of the government, immodest behavior of the king give rise to revolts of the people. Excessive taxation, hike in the price of essential commodities, deliberate disregard to law and morality in the exercise of power, unjust treatment meted out against certain sections of the society, deliberate neglect of certain regions of the state, political incompetence and misgovernance, excessive and tactless use of power to put down peaceful agitation, and the general causes of violence. ये कौटिल्य का है. ये देखिए कौटिल्य जब लिख रहे हैं तो 2500 साल पहले का बात है. And so also Aristotle, they were mostly contemporaries. Kautilya held that impoverishment, greed, dissatisfaction are the causes of revolt. रेवोल्यूशन और रिवोल्ट या विद्रोह होता है जहां पे इम्प्रोविशमेंट यानी आम लोग जब गरीब हो जाते हैं, इम्प्रोविस्ड हो जाते हैं, कोई संसाधन नहीं है, कोई नौकरी नहीं है, कोई बिजनेस नहीं है. ग्रीड ऑफ द किंग एंड द इंस्टीट्यूशंस एंड द पॉलिटिकल पीपल इन पावर. And disaffection caused, disaffection means there is complete breakdown in the state machinery. There is complete misgovernance. So this is the general cause of political violence. Now let's come to another aspect of political violence, the theory of self-determination. Self-determination बहुत सारे जगह में हुआ in the last 50-70 years, especially post-colonial time में. देखिए colonies was there last 400 साल में बहुत सारे वेस्टर्न पावर्स पूरे दुनिया को अफ्रीका, लैटिन अमेरिका, एशिया, साउथ ईस्ट एशिया एंड द फार ईस्ट कॉलोनीज करके रखे. They were the colonies of France and England and Italy and Germany and others. So जब पिछले 70 साल से पहले जब there was this idea of decolonization, then the concept of self-determination came, especially in the Afro-Asian countries, Vietnam, Algeria, Indonesia, ये सब जगह में. भारत में भी हुआ था, especially Mahatma Gandhi was there, but Mahatma Gandhi did not believe in violence. He had this non-violent attitude towards independence. But there were people, there were leaders who were interested in violent approach, like Savarkar, Bhagha Jatin, Bhagat Singh, Subhash Chandra Bose. ये सब लोग, they believed in violence. The armed revolution was the reason why the Britishers will leave India. That's their approach. So after the Second World War, there is an increased political consciousness in the mind of the people. कि लोगों के माइंड में ये जागृत हुआ मन में कि वी शुड rule ourselves, self-determine or self-rule ourselves. We will not be under the rule of any foreign government or foreign country. So the whole idea of self-determination started, and at present also there is in Ireland, Northern Ireland, in Canada, there is a province called Quebec. It is a dominated province by French-speaking people, and they want independence from Canada. So Canada also has this concept of self-determination. It has not been resolved. अभी तक वो resolve नहीं हुआ है. आयरलैंड है, और भारत में भी ऐसे प्रकार के हैं. नॉर्थ ईस्ट में ऐसे कभी होता है. कश्मीर is also an issue in that. We can have a look at it. So nationalism caused by emergence of national liberation movements as well as movements of national self-determination. So self-determination is another cause for political violence. और बहुत सारी जगह में ये देखा गया है कि इंडिपेंडेंस मिला है बिकॉज ऑफ वायलेंस, आर्म्ड रेबेलियन. So the third important cause of political violence is ideology. So as you know, ideology plays an important role in the spread of political violence. Ideology mobilizes people to give a certain cause to wage war against the state. Most of the movements in modern times are ideological in character. Fascism, communism, socialism, and these were some of the big ideologies of the world which created political violence. And many of the Russian Revolution, the Chinese Revolution, the Cuban Revolution, the socialist standoff revolution which was there, these are all violent in nature. So ideology was there in the last 50 after the Second World War, and it had an impact to create political violence in many countries of the world. Now let's come to the fourth aspect of the causes of political violence is religious and ethnic reason. Most of the countries of the world are inhabited people adhere to different religion, faiths and different ethnic communities. Ethnicity का आपको समझा देते हैं. Religion तो आप समझ रहे हैं, there are different religions in the world: Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Jainism, Judaism, and these are the different religions. But ethnic group are basically those groups which are having a particular kind of language, a particular kind of culture. And when these people are away from their culture or from their land, and they are staying in a different country as minorities, sometimes what happens is that they mobilize themselves in order to form political violence. There are religious and ethnic minorities in many of the countries. Modern state is trying to bring them under single popularity authority. Problem क्या होता है कि when these minorities demand certain concessions from the state, so then the problem starts. But the state wants that everybody should be treated as equal. So then religious and ethnic minorities resist the attempt, and they fear that due to their political so then they may lose their separate identity. So this fear of losing the identity mobilizes the ethnic minorities to form political violence. उसका उदाहरण हम अब देते हैं. So the most forceful is applied in advance that these communities take recourse to violence. यूरोप में हुआ है 17th century, 18th century में religious conflict. Catholics and Protestants. Europe, East Europe, Asia, Africa, religious strife is common. Inter-religious conflict has taken place between Christians and Muslims, Jews and Muslims, Hindus and Muslims. And there is inter-religious conflict within a particular religion also. So this is basically happening all over the world. Culturally and ethnically, modern societies are not homogeneous. You see, America, it is called a salad bowl. Earlier it was called a melting pot. कि सब लोग आएंगे अमेरिका में, melting pot में सब घुल मिल जाएंगे, सब अमेरिकन हो जाएंगे. So the whole idea of multiculturalism, which was started by Canada and America and Germany and now Australia, that has failed because nobody wanted to leave their own culture. अपने culture को कोई छोड़ना नहीं चाहता. So now the whole idea of melting pot is now called a salad bowl. कि salad के तरह सभी लोग अलग-अलग identity अपना रखना चाहते हैं. प्याज, मूली, गाजर, wheat, सब लोग अपना अलग आइडेंटिटी रखना चाहते हैं, लेकिन सैलेड के साथ एक बाउल में है. But that does not mean that they are they want to lose their identity. Everybody wants to retain their own identity. Cultural and ethnic minorities want to preserve their separate identities. Hence, they want to secure and protect their rights. These minorities form the basis of race, language, culture, lifestyle, eating habits, wearing habits, kya pehnenge. Quebec province of Canada, Nagaland in India, Northern Ireland, Great Britain, Chechnyas in Russia, Tibetans in China, Kurds in Iraq and Iran are examples of ethnic minorities. They want to retain their minorities. They are having some kind of armed rebellion against the state in order to protect their own identity. So this is another cause of ethnic minorities. So now let's come to very interesting aspects that often happens in Latin American countries, African countries, Asian countries, South Asia, Southeast Asia, that political disputes between the groups and the elite is one of the causes of political violence. The elites of any society, the governing elites, ये concept जो governing elites का है, ये Burnham का है. When I give you the material, you will read it. The governing elites of each state consists of groups, factions, and these groups and factions are involved into power politics. These groups and factions use violent methods to secure support of the people, organizing street demonstration, communal riots, sabotage. A group as well as the established in the governments uses power, corrosive power of the state institution to grab this violence. Political disputes among the elites may result in splits and divisions of the ruling group. ये देखा गया है. Pakistan is an example, Afghanistan is an example, Egypt is an example. Many of the Southeast Asian countries, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, these are all examples of when the elites are mobilizing political violence in order to satisfy their demands and rights. This is one of the main reasons of political violence of late modern times, when the elites of the society are orchestrating this political violence. Another political violence, reason for political violence is economic conditions and the concept of relative deprivation. Some groups of the society feel they are relatively deprived. Economic conditions give birth to different types of political violence because they generate resentment in the minds of the people. The wrong policies of the government that favor a certain particular sections of the society and push the larger section of the society into below poverty line. So those policies of the government, the economic policies of the government, if it is not equally distributed, that everybody should have a share, if some groups are given importance economically and given some advantage economically than the other, the group which is at a disadvantageous position feels relatively deprived. And this relative deprivation can create political violence. These factors force people to take into streets and participate in violent demonstrations against the government. Workers, farmers, students can have huge amount of political violence, and there is being deliberately deprived of the valued goods to which they are entitled to take recourse to agitation. So ये होता है, ये कभी-कभी हो जाता है, because sometimes you see, so let's say the case of France. The French government, the policy is that unless you don't know the French language, you cannot have government jobs and other important aspects of the French society and culture. But most Africans who are there in France, Algeria say, and Morocco say, and Egypt say, and Syria say, and others, they don't want to study the French language. The same thing happened in the case of the Tamil. The Tamilians were told to know the Sinhalese language. Unless you don't know the Sinhalese language, then you will not get any government jobs or government benefits. So then the Tamilians, they were in northern part of Sri Lanka, Jaffna and other areas. They started this armed rebellion, which lasted for more than 40 years. With the government of Sri Lanka. So these things are there. So this rapid economic development may lead to resentment of its fruits. It can happen other time also. If there is a huge rapid economic development, like it happened in India, but in India it was thought that it was getting equally distributed among the larger sections of the society. पूरे सभी लोगों को मिलना चाहिए, माइनॉरिटीज को मिलना चाहिए, मुस्लिम्स को मिलना चाहिए, हिंदूज को मिलना चाहिए, सिख्स को मिलना चाहिए. जब इंडिया में आर्थिक विस्तार हुआ 1990s में, इकोनॉमिक लिबरलाइजेशन, then it was found out that many people who were there in the lower strata of the society came up to the middle class. More than 40 crore people in the last 30 years have shifted to the middle class in India. So then rapid economic development leads to resentment if the fruits of the growth are not fairly distributed among the different strata of the society. भारत में ऐसे नहीं हुआ. भारत में everybody seems to have got the share, being a very big country. नहीं तो फिर there will be problem. Some sections will feel that they are getting completely deprived, and then there will be political violence. Lastly, the reason for political violence is that some of the neighboring countries, they actually support political violence in other countries. Like Pakistan is a classic case of that. What is happening in Jammu and Kashmir and the terrorist activities, which I'll talk about later. So some of the neighboring countries, they orchestrate this political violence in another country. Pakistan is a case. Pakistan is doing it in Afghanistan. Pakistan is doing it with India. China is now doing it with a lot of countries. And it has been happening in many of these countries in Middle East. Syria is doing it. Iraq was doing it. Iran also indulges in these activities. So political violence in Jammu, Kashmir, supported by Pakistan, America does it. America has done it in Cuba. America did it in Nicaragua and many of the Latin American countries. So whether it is rich countries or poor countries, everybody does it in order to have political violence orchestrated. And the support comes from a different country or from a neighboring country. So this, I have now come to the second aspect of the lecture. I have completed now the different forms of political violence, causes of political violence. Now it comes to the third aspect of the lecture, that is called forms of political violence. Forms. What are the different types of political violence? Violent protest by the people against the government. Second is terrorism. Third is military revolts and takeovers. Fourth is revolts and revolution. And fifth is war. So political demonstration, or it can be an epoch-making revolution like the French Revolution, which took place in 1789. So now let's see violent protest by the people against the government. So it happens, it is happening everywhere. In any news channel you will open, it is happening in Chile, it is happening in Nicaragua, it is happening in India, it is happening in China. Doesn't allow, because China doesn't allow any, because the Chinese state is one of the greatest perpetuators of political violence. Chinese state जो है वो political violence कराता है. Xinjiang province में करा रहा है. More than 10 million, 1 million यानी 10 लाख मुस्लिम्स को वो लोगों ने जेल में रखा है. And there is complete political violence by the Chinese government on its own people. Normally, people take recourse to violence when all constitutional means available to them fail. The violent protest of unorganized mobs caused by large-scale damage because of attacks on the symbols of the government authorities, such as government offices, railways, buses, and all these properties. They try to disrupt the normal functioning of the government. Due to violent rioting, the government tends to amend their policies to avoid spread of violence. So there are burns, there are hartals, there are strikes. Sometimes they organize violent demonstration and morchas. So the central authority of the government is, if it is weak, then it is lacks legitimacy. Then the well-organized demonstration can cause downfall of the government. So it has happened in many African countries. It has happened in many Latin American countries. So violent protest by the people against the government is one of the most commonly found political violence in everyday life. So it happens quite frequently, quite regularly. It happens every day also in many parts of the world. But Of late, in the early 70s and then 80s, but especially after the 90s and modern times, terrorism is one of the biggest form of political violence, organized political violence, terrorism. In modern times, terrorism has become one of the most important form of political violence as a large number of people join terrorist groups to bring change in the government. The weapon of terrorism is used by terrorists because they know that they cannot launch an open war against the state, as the state has superior force and power. So terrorism is basically a kind of a proxy war, which the terrorist organizations have organized against the state power. Terrorists of all sorts of methods teach lesson to the state authorities. They get involved in sabotage, killing, murder, large-scale people of sudden gunfire, hijacking aircraft of butchers, holding people in ransom, kidnapping, sudden gunfires, extortion, political assassinations, setting fires to places of worships and market, inciting and bomb blasts, and communal riots. So many terrorist organizations have, but the first to actually systematically start, and it is the Irish Republican Army, IRA. Ireland is basically used to be, they want it separate from England. So they started a terrorist organization, and in the 60s and in the 70s. Now it is somewhat settled, but there is a huge problem with that. So IRA is, in modern times, is one of the most important terrorist organization of recent times. Then we can come to the Tamil Tigers of Tamil Eelam, that is LTTE in Sri Lanka. Prabhakaran was the chief, and the Sri Lankan crisis came to an end in 2011-12, when Prabhakaran was murdered and killed, and a lot of other things happened. So there are terrorist organizations like Al Qaeda. It started in the late 80s, Bin Laden, and all these kind of the 9/11 attack. And there are terrorist organizations in Middle East also. Abu Abbas, Abu Nidal group, and there are terrorist organizations in Philippines, and globally their presence is there. So terrorists, it is true that some terrorist organizations succeeded in setting up their own militias. They had their own private armies, but they cannot fight a well-oiled, regular modern state when often supported by superpowers. Guerrilla warfare is another form of terrorist organization. Mostly it happens in jungles, which in the next lecture I will talk about the guerrilla warfare by the Naxals of India. Succeeded when the state authorities are extremely weak, and then they try to run over by the state capital. South Vietnam is one of the Vietnam, and then in some of the African countries and Latin American countries, Cuba, they had this guerrilla warfare. So this is, terrorism is another form of political violence. So now let's come to the third aspect of political violence, military revolts and takeovers. So you see, every country has a military. And sometimes what happens is that the popularly elected government has become so corrupt and so incompetent, and there is so mismanagement, that sometimes the military takes over. It's called military takeovers or military revolts and takeovers. This is another form of violence. In modern times, military or the armed forces of the country are playing an important role in the politics of the developing countries, and sometimes the state and the nations are involved in military and political assumes two kinds: mutiny among the soldiers, first, military takeover, second, or coup d'etat. Mutiny among the soldiers, armed forces and rebel against the government. The revolt is called mutiny, and the soldiers take over the arms and gets involved into violent activities. For example, the revolt of 1857, which happened in India against the British. So that you can say is a mutiny against the East India Company. And after that, the company was dissolved, and then the Queen and the British Parliament started to rule India from Great Britain after the revolt of 1857. The second form of political violence military is coup d'etat or forcible takeovers of elected governments. Military takeovers is the sharp armed resurrection of the group of army officers to capture political power and establish control over the installations, key installations of the state. For example, Pakistan, there has been minimum 4 coups in the last 70 years. Bangladesh in 1975, when Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and his entire family was wiped out. The military coup in Indonesia in 65, 66. And Afghanistan in 1973. And the Afro-Asian and Latin American countries, there has been many military coups and takeovers. The military displaces the democratically elected government and takes power into his own hand and rules. It's called the military junta. So military takeovers and revolts is one of the main causes of you can say of revolution. Now let's come to the revolution and the rebellion. Revolts represent anger of certain sections of the society when they revolt, revolution, and they are aimed at changing the policy of the government or change in the government. The revolts may take place in different parts of the country and the demands of the rebel may be specific. So basically it's a high degree of organized with the tactic of wide sections of the population and can say that they've assumed serious forms. Rebellion in the second stage of revolt, and that stage the revolt is ideologically committed and they developed a vision of future society. Due to normally basically rebellion takes place with the help of the people, and the rebel normally use the tactics of guerrilla warfare because they lack the military strength to counter it. They promise land to the landless, regional autonomy for ethnic minorities, and political equality for the common people. This has succeeded in countries like Vietnam, Cuba, but it has failed in Greece, Philippines, and Iran. Near perfect intelligence, mobility, freedom from fixed logistic base, and surprise are characteristically successful guerrilla operations, but increasingly due to strengthening of the state organizations. So these are some of the aspects of revolts and rebellions which happens as a political violence. Now let's come to civil war and war. Of late, after the 90s, there has been a lot of civil war in many countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So this kind of civil war, which takes place when the civilians are involved in a continuous fight between the government of the day, war with external enemy of the country, internal war, and state forces of the rebellion, civil war. Internal war is basically a force between the central government and the secessionist forces. In the 1860s, America also faced civil war between the North and the South. And at present, civil war is going on in Lebanon, in Yugoslavia, in Nigeria, and in many of the Middle East countries. So thus, political violence forms in modern times. Now let's come to the last kind of a political violence or type of political violence. It is called revolution. So revolution is a marked widespread violence, social unrest, and ideological commitment, a new revolutionary ideology, radical, rational, and democratic and universal. Modern revolutions are not confined to replacing the bad ruler, but a good one, and have a modernist agenda of restructuring the entire socio-economic order by legitimizing representative of the community. So revolution has been a very tactical move of organized political violence. So revolutions are aimed at changing the basic structure of the society, rapid transformation of the society and the state and the class structures. Modern revolutions its goals are clearly defined the leaders to use violence to consummate it. So revolution has been there, and I will just talk about the concept of revolution. There are some theories of revolution. We don't want to go into the theories because it is not a class on, but this is a type of political violence through revolution. So Robert Ted Gore in his book Why Men Rebel, he says that political violence and its challenges and the monopoly of force possessed by the state. He is of the view that the turmoil, conspiracy, and internal war are the three features of revolution. He holds that the discontent elite play a major role in the kind of revolution. So this is what is happening. So revolution as such is a modern phenomenon, and there has been revolution. The Jasmine Revolution has taken place in 2011-12. There can be revolutions in the future also. We do not know that how revolution takes place. But it is a kind of a political phenomena or a political violence which can create political gain. Now let's come to the last aspects of my lecture, that is called methods of overcoming political violence. How can we overcome political violence? So there are actually three methods. The first method is the remedial method of liberals which believe in reforms. कि बदलाव लाना चाहिए, then there can be no political violence. Another method is force. हिंसा से जबरदस्ती हम लोग जो political violence है उसको दबा देंगे, उसको खत्म कर देंगे. And the third is the carrot and stick policy. कुछ लोगों को कुछ चीजें देंगे, कुछ लोगों को बंदूक दिखाएंगे या लाठी दिखाएंगे. It is called the carrot and stick policy of methods of overcoming political violence. The liberals and the reformers. First, let's come to the liberals and the reformers. Are of the opinion that political violence can be overcome by the following necessary reforms in the social and political system. It is a part of a social and political process that is built in the system as an antidote to violence of the state. इस समाज में हम लोग के व्यवस्था में जो चीजें हैं उसमें बदलाव लाके हम लोग पॉलिटिकल वायलेंस को खत्म करके लोगों को एक नया प्रकार के व्यवस्था दे सकते हैं. So socio-economic grievances can be remedied by initiating basic reforms in the social and economic field. It includes giving equality of opportunity to the people, reducing the taxation system, equal distribution of wealth, removal of all disabilities imposed by the state and society, and just treatment to all sections of the society is important. जो चीजें हो रहा है उसमें आप बदलाव ला सकते हैं so that there is no political violence. Liberals believe that the use of violence is irrational and the use can be, it is basically not justified as such, the violence. So violence cannot be resolved through basic problems in society. Hence, the liberals want people to learn from the constitutional machinery to resolve conflicts. ये जो conflict जो है, जो हिंसा है, जो problem है, it can be resolved through non-violent methods, through concessions and through contract. The second is by force. जबरदस्ती करके. The violence of rebels can be countered by superior violence of the state. State जो है, has a superior violence because it cannot kill rebels, it can kill you. So Arthashastra also suggests that the king should initiate sections against the leaders of the revolt because the leaders provide leadership to the revolt. So Machiavelli also talks about that whenever there is a revolt in the society against the government, it can be suppressed by force. So it is suggested that the use of force against revolt was quick to point out that the causes of revolt must be addressed. So the third policy is the carrot and stick policy. It's a dual policy. कभी-कभी कुछ चीजें दे देना है और कभी-कभी लाठी दिखा के लोगों को डराना. So it's a driving wedge between the moderates and the extremist elements in the opposition. The government can offer rewards and concessions and the moderates at the same time. It can continue its military operation against the extremists. So this is a dual policy to suppress or to address the concept of political violence in the society. So we have seen that today we discussed about in the first lecture about what are the different, what is the meaning of political violence, what is the definition of political violence, what are the various methods of political violence, and what are the different types of political violence, and how there are different ways to address the political violence. So I keep my lecture here, and then if you have any questions, then we can address it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir. Now the participant may pose their questions. Okay, I'm reading it out, sir. Give me 1 second. Uh, uh, there's one question by Sushma Chaubesh. It is a confusion. She wants some clarification, sir.
Yeah.
She's asking that my question is political violence against the government supported by their own people. She wants you to explain this point.
You see, sometimes the political violence can be orchestrated by the government itself. So it depends upon how, but usually it doesn't happen. It is basically resentment by the people themselves, and they feel that they are getting out of some policies of the government which is not in their interest. Then only they can go for a kind of a last resort as political violence. It starts with protests and yeah, but sometimes it becomes violent in nature. But sometimes the government also does some kind of political violence.
Okay,
Sir,
thank you.
hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, will you please give some examples like in this situation where government supports political violence for their own gain?
Yes, sometimes what happens is that there are two groups actually. Suppose let's see the farmers group. The farmers have some kind of resentment against the policies of the government, which is the farm bill. But if the government can orchestrate another group of farmers or another group set of people against the people who are protesting, then sometimes what happens is that these groups, one is supported by the government and one is supported by the people. They can come together. It has not yet happened as such in India at the farmers' bill, but still you can expect, and sometimes it happens in other countries. There are a lot of examples which are there, and mostly in Latin American countries where America supports some groups through the CIA and through the MNCs. Like in Chile, it happened in 1970s when the Chilean government was supporting a particular set of people, and the America through its Coca-Cola company had supported a different set of groups, and there was a coup ultimately, and the Chilean government was actually it actually was removed, and a new set of government was established. It has happened in many of the Latin American countries with American intervention.
Sir, now, thank you, sir. Now, the next question is by Nancy Chopra. She's asking, can emergency of 1975 be considered as an example of political violence by state?
Yeah, that was a political violence, organized political violence by the state. Yeah, it is a violence because a lot of people were put into bars and many murders took place, and a lot of people overnight vanished. And there, usually it was not that aggressive, but in Chile and in other Latin American countries, there are political murders also of leaders and of people, common people, of poets, of dramatists, of people of eminence. This happens usually, and the government actually organizes it through its machinery and through its other form of force, and it has happened in many countries. And 1975, you can say, is also a kind of a political violence by organized by the state itself. Yeah.
Sir, one more question is by Nagma Khan. She is asking how terrorist activities are different from other forms of political violence, how to differentiate terrorist activities from other forms of political violence.
So you see, the terrorist activities are basically a modern phenomenon. So this is against the state itself. When you find the terrorist activities happening in India, the terrorist activities which has also become global. So the Al Qaeda is basically a terrorist activity, or the ISIS is a terrorist organization which is against the West. The African version of Al Qaeda and all is basically there in Nigeria and other countries. So these countries are basically against the West, and they have become global in nature also. So terrorist activity as such is a globalized political violence. It has taken a new form, and it has gone beyond the level of cities of countries, and it has become a global phenomenon. And globally, there are these terrorist activities have organized their cadres and their organizations in different countries, and they are able to create political violence in many countries, but because of the government policies, there has become slightly reduced, but still it is happening in Europe and many of the African countries and some of the Middle East countries. Yeah.
सर, और एक प्रश्न है प्रिया तिवारी का, वो पूछ रही हैं कि राजनीतिक हिंसा का जो परिप्रेक्ष्य है, तो उसे वर्तमान समय के पश्चिम बंगाल के राजनीतिक स्थिति से जोड़कर कैसे देख सकते हैं?
That is also
क्या कोई उपाय है?
Yeah, that is what you see. When people are dying, and people are dying because of having a different kind of a political ideology or having a different kind of a political dimension which they doesn't fit with the governing state power. That is also a kind of a political, and Bengal and Kerala are the classic cases of political violence in the political nature. When political parties and the government in power fight with each other for in order to establish violence. And it happened in Bengal. Bengal has a long history. If you see the Bengal in the British time also. So there were a lot of killings which was happening in Bengal in the British time. And Kerala after independence is also an example of that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So I think we have taken up all the questions. Now it's time of formal vote of thanks. So I extend my sincere gratitude to you, sir, because you spared your valuable time, and we know you have a very busy schedule, you have so many responsibility, and you covered so many things in this one lecture: the definition, the concept of political violence, different causes of political violence and forms of political violence. And in this way, you have created a platform or background for your next lecture that will be more concerned with the contemporary issues of political violence in India. So I thank you, sir, on the behalf of the Department of Political Science and on my personal behalf. I'd also like to thank all my colleagues from the Department of Political Science, Dr. Punita Pathak, Dr. Sneha Patel, Dr. Jitendra Lalwani, who have joined us. And I also want to thank my students because they have actively participating in this lecture. They participated actively in this lecture and also in the previous lectures. And I expect the same kind of participation from you in the next lecture also. So once again, I thank you all, sir, and then we'll meet again on Saturday at 3 o'clock. So thank you very much, sir.
Saturday
2 o'clock, sorry. It's 2 o'clock. I'm sorry. It's 2 to 3:30, sir. So we'll be meeting at 2 on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you all.